Suppose you are a medical school director and you have to match the two students, Alice and Bob, to the two medical schools, Cornell and Dartmouth. And you know that, Alice and Bob have visited both schools and both of them prefer Cornell to Dartmouth. And Cornell and Dartmouth have interviewed both candidates, and Cornell says that Bob is their top choice, followed by Alice, and Dartmouth has the opposite opinion. They prefer Alice to Bob. And what our job is that we have to match Alice and Bob to one of the two medical schools. And there really are only two matchings, and we're going to explore both of them and see which one we think is better. Alright, so the first matching, we'll call this, pick a different color here. We'll call this matching number 1. We can pair Alice to Cornell, and we can pair Bob to Dartmouth. And in the other matching, and there are only like two matchings really, matching 2, we can pair Alice to Dartmouth, and we can pair Bob to Cornell. And I encourage you to pause the video for a second and think about, given this information here, which one of the two matchings you think is better. Alright, so let's start with matching 1. So in matching 1, from Alice's perspective, Alice is paired with Cornell, which is her number 1 choice. So Alice is actually really happy right now. So I'm going to put an arrow saying Alice really likes Cornell, and from Cornell's perspective, well, Cornell actually prefers Bob. So Cornell actually wants to be with Bob, but is being paired with Alice. So not so happy on this end. Now Bob is getting his second choice, Dartmouth. He actually prefers Cornell. And Dartmouth is getting, well, their second choice as well. They prefer Alice. So there's a lot going on here, but we can say with certainty is that this Alice being paired to Cornell, Alice is really happy that she is being paired to her number 1. Cornell's not so happy because it prefers Bob. Bob also prefers Cornell, which is pretty interesting. And, well, Dartmouth prefers Alice, but no one really wants to go to Dartmouth. So, alright, so this is kind of a instability going on here. And in matching number 2, we see that Bob and Cornell are actually paired together over here. So kind of to reiterate, so Alice is getting her second choice, which is Dartmouth. I'll put here second choice. Dartmouth is getting their first choice, which is great. Now, Bob and Cornell, Bob's first choice is Cornell. Cornell's first choice is Bob. They're both getting each other's first choice. So this is kind of like a very strong bond going on over here. And what we kind of want to do when we look at in the next few videos on stable matching is we want to kind of explore these different cases. We want to kind of create these stabilities here where both parties prefer each other the most that we can. And we're going to call this kind of matching here stable. So this is an example of a stable matching. And to be clear here, this here is an unstable matching. And why is it unstable? It's because of the B to C are not paired. And we can elaborate a little bit on this. We're kind of going to define this notion of instability to be instability And like colloquially speaking, and you can like go over the textbook for more like a technical definition, but it's kind of like when two parties prefer each other to their current situation. So in this example over here, uh, Bob and Cornell, they both prefer each other to their current matching. And in that case, what we want to do is we kind of want to, take these four people. We want to swap the bonds here, so we get this kind of matching two situation where we have this stability going on. And in the next video, we're going to explore more of this. But what I want to do now is kind of set up what we're about to do. So we're going to be looking at stable matching problems. And here, essentially the key terms here are that we have these two groups of people, and we can call this group A and group B. And generally, if we're matching two pairs here of two parties over here, we want this such that the cardinality of A, which is just fancy for saying number of elements in A. I think that's going off the screen. So number elements in A, we want that to equal the number of elements in B, so that way everyone can be matched. And furthermore, we call a matching stable simply if there are no instabilities. And where we define instabilities as we did up over here. So the input to our problem is essentially going to be these two groups here, A and B. And we're going to run some kind of like heuristic. We're going to figure out some way to pair off each element of A to each element of B over here. And it might be well, we're going to develop that algorithm. But in the end, what we really want to do is we want to create this matching such that there are no instabilities whatsoever. And in the next video, we're going to look at an algorithm that does exactly that.